Well, for more on COVID-19 and its impact on zoos and animal welfare, I'm joined by Dan Ashe. He's president and CEO of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
Nice to have you on. So, as we saw, that the profit is essentially going down to zero during the coronavirus restrictions on things like social distancing and only having essential businesses open. How do zoo operators then plan to pay their staff?
Well, you're right. We have 240 accredited members in the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and almost all of them are closed to the public now due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And that means 200 million visitors, more than 200 million visitors, are not coming through the gates of our member zoos and aquariums. And those visitors are the economic lifeblood of those institutions. So they are in a crisis mode right now, trying to figure out how to survive through this pandemic.
So then how do zoos typically make the bulk of their revenue?
So most of them live on what they call earned revenue. So that's people coming through the gate, paying admissions, buying gifts, buying meals, the same way that you would expect any business, because these zoos and aquariums are businesses, and that's how they pay for their operations, and that's how they support the conservation work they do to support conservation of animals in nature, because our members collectively every year provide more than $230 million in support for field conservation. So this not only hurts the operation of these zoos and aquariums, it's hurting the conservation of animals in nature.
And would you say that conservation makes up the bulk of the expenses, the operating costs as well for zoos?
Right. Yeah, when a zoo or an aquarium is closed, it's not like a restaurant, and I don't want to minimize the impact that the closures are having on restaurants, but they can't simply send their employees home and close the doors. Because they have to operate the facility. They have to care for the animals. And so when you're talking about an aquarium like Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta, Georgia, that hosts more than 2 million visitors a year, that facility has to operate pretty much at 100% because the aquarium is the home for those animals. And so San Diego Zoo, which hosts more than 4 million visitors a year, the most visited zoo in the United States, they have to operate that facility at nearly 100% because they have to care for those animals.
So then in terms of the outlook for job losses in some of these zoos and aquariums, are most of these losses going to be temporary?
Well, we hope they'll be temporary because they're obviously the people that are being furloughed or laid off are the people that are guest service professionals mainly and concession professionals. And so the animal keeper staff still has to be there caring for the animals. So hopefully when we reopen, and we will reopen, those people will come back and find a job.
Now, obviously, keeping the animals healthy during a pandemic is also a priority. We've seen a number of tigers and lions testing positive now for COVID-19 at the Bronx Zoo in New York. So some zoos are going to try and live stream amid the coronavirus closure. Is that an effective way to make money, or is that more about sort of keeping the spirits up and keeping that connection with the crowds?
It's about keeping the connection, and that's a growing trend within our membership. So a zoo like Oregon Zoo has 1.7 million visitors a year, but they have more than 2.5 million Facebook friends. And so already a lot of our member zoos and aquariums are living online and providing digital content. And that's continuing during this shutdown. Places like San Diego Zoo Safari or the Cincinnati Zoo Facebook Live Safari. And so that's continuing through the shutdown, but it's not making money for them. It's not a revenue driver for them. It's something they do to stay connected to their audience.
Now, I also want to look at something that we saw popularized in the very popular and dark Netflix show, Tiger King. It really highlighted this fascination as well as the cruelty that can be associated with some of these roadside zoos. How can people tell if a zoo is conserving and protecting animals rather than perpetuating animal cruelty?
Well, the main thing they can do is look for a zoo or aquarium that's accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So if you go to one of our 240 member zoos and aquariums, you are at one of the very best performing zoological institutions in the world. And you can be assured that those animals are thriving, that they're happy, that they're receiving the best care that they could possibly be provided. And you're also ensured that you're supporting an institution that's conserving animals in nature. So when you're seeing a gorilla at Atlanta Zoo, you're contributing to conservation of gorillas in nature. When you're seeing a giraffe at Cheyenne Mountain Zoo in Colorado Springs, Colorado, you're visiting a place that's contributing to the conservation of giraffe in their home range in Africa. And so the guests can be assured, if they look for that accreditation by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, that they're visiting and they're supporting a fine institution, and one that they can be proud to support and feel that their visit is really making a difference.
Certainly very important. Thank you so much. Dan Ashe there, the President and CEO of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums.